So have you been playing anything that's been kind of lighting your fire and making you excited to come into the studio and get to work?
I mean, it sounds weird, but like, I'm enjoying playing Shattered Space. I obviously...
No, Todd, that doesn't sound weird at all. I mean, who wouldn't want to play Shattered Space? Especially since Starfield is actually good now. It's more immersive than it's ever been. Wake up! Wake up! They polished out all the jank.
Is something amiss?
And the game runs like a dream. Oh my god.
I think when it comes to world building, it's having that believability that this exists. And with games, it's putting you in that world and having it react to you. Having it pique your curiosity.
What? Why did she do that?
When you have this curiosity for what's over that hill, that the game rewards it.
There's nothing up here. I don't think Bethesda are as concerned as they should be. I think that they think that everything's gonna eventually work out, that Starfield is gonna somehow maintain a slow and steady growth and eventually be redeemed like Fallout 76.
People play their games for longer. The top 10 played games for 2023, the average age of those games was 6 years old.
Wow.
Fallout 76 is now 6 years old. The only new game, I think, in that list was Starfield.
I'm not so sure people are gonna be playing Starfield 6 years from now, seeing as how less than 1% of their player base has even initiated the first quest step for the new expansion, which is a shame. Those poor suckers are really missing out on a lot of cool new content, like the new redeemed enemy type. It's a berserker variant that charges at you with the ferocity of 1,000 suns. Let's see what else is new.
Recently, we've started implementing a sponsorship system into our games. You'll notice this with Factor, which is the sponsor of the day.
Factor has a lot of variety. They've got 35 meals to choose from.
It has 16 times the choice when compared to a standard refrigerator.
Ranging from Gourmet Plus, Keto, Vegan and Veggie, and even Calorie Plus if you're looking to slim down. Like I said, there's a lot of options. Romano shredded chicken. Everybody loves Romano. They also offer smoothies and protein shakes with over 60 add-ons to keep you fueled and focused. Hey buddy, are you hungry? Here. Yeah, it's good, huh? Want some more? I've actually gotten Factor before getting this sponsorship, and I thought it was convenient having pre-made meals that I only had to throw into the microwave, and that allowed me to continue gaming without having to even leave the house. And if you want to talk about convenience,
Factor ships right to your door.
so head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code RENSREVIEW50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month of orders.
It's so delicious. Yeah, you can't get enough of it.
Again, that's RENSREVIEW50 at factor75.com. And that'll get you 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month of orders.
The best part about Factor is it just works. Now let's get back to the video.
Food. Food. Now, before I could even start playing the expansion, I had to reacquaint myself with the game. And as I was doing that, I heard a familiar voice.
Yes, we've all seen everything. Now put your clothes back on.
Oh, it's you. Some of you might remember in my last Starfield video, I spent hours tricking Sarah into marrying me, only to immediately abandon her on the very planet that she was stranded on for 2 years. And now, after all that I've done to her, I struggle to look Sarah in the eye, because somehow, like the fool she is, she can still find it in her heart to love me.
You're my soulmate. We were meant to be together.
So I thought it would be best for us both if I were to end things right there on the spot. But I couldn't stand the idea of hurting her like that.
My heart feels like it's been ripped out of my body.
So I changed my mind.
You have no idea how relieved I am that you feel that way.
And a few moments later, I met Andreja.
Every night I hold you in my dreams, counting down the days until we meet.
Oh my goodness! Seeing her made me realize that if I'm playing an expansion, I want to do it with someone who makes me expand. As a person, I want an experience that is fresh and new, not old and blonde. And you know what? I want to share that experience with someone who has hands that aren't so freaky.
Then it's over. Now, I'm going to need some time to myself.
And so, as I was on my way to start playing the new content with my new girlfriend at my side, somebody stopped me because they wanted to recruit me into a faction.
I'm from the Trackers Alliance.
I had immediate doubts about this alliance since the gal they sent to fetch me couldn't even track me with both of her eyes. I was now being confronted with a puzzle, that being how to even find the new content in this vast galaxy of old content. Eventually, I resorted to looking up a guide.
Grav jump to any orbit not used specifically for another mission, you'll receive a distress call from a station called the Oracle and a mission called What Remains.
Of course, none of that worked for me. Classic IGN misinformation. However, the top comment, which took 5 seconds to read, proved to be far more helpful. But the fact that it isn't immediately apparent how to start playing the new expansion is emblematic of the shambles that this game is currently in. We dock our ship into a shattered space station, where we fight some ghosts in Zero G.
Where have they gone?
And I was really happy about this at first, because I remember complaining in my last video that I never got to encounter any Zero G gun battles throughout my 35 hours of playtime. And within my first gun battle, I realized why. Because Zero G combat really sucks. Your movement is severely hindered, making battles feel stiffer than usual. And every time you shoot, you get pushed backwards, which makes perfect sense, but it's also annoying. It's frustrating too, because I could see a good game like Ultra Kill taking a zero gravity mechanic and using it to enhance the movement rather than hinder it. I must admit though that this entire space station did feel like it had a little bit more thought put into it than most other Starfield environments, with the weightless trash bags being a perfect metaphor for, well, everything. After some floating and killing, we eventually come to a terminal that allows us to turn the gravity back on.
Restoring gravity in 3, 2, 1.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Where are you going?
Is something amiss?
And then some phantom guy goes crazy and we kill him. From there, I say FML as we FTL to the moon of Kavnik 1, where the plot of the expansion truly begins. Now, I wouldn't dare waste your time telling you the plot of the expansion, as the developers themselves explain the story of Shattered Space far better than the actual game does.
Before the start of Shattered Space, a secret experiment involving grav drive technology went terribly wrong.
It resulted in a massive tear in the fabric of space-time that swallowed a significant portion of the Varun capital of Dazra. There's a massive crater in their city, nothing has been reconstructed. People are still searching for missing loved ones.
Ironically enough, this entire 15 seconds of video is more engaging than the actual game itself, because when you got music, editing, and an overall sense of presentation, it can make any story so much more engaging. But within the actual game itself, we're still tethered to boring close-up shots of stiff NPCs rather than, actual cutscenes. And so I seriously struggled to stay invested or even pay attention throughout the entire expansion. Oh my god!
A great tide of energy emanated.
I mean, it's tough when the NPCs talk slower than an elderly that just woke up.
I don't know where the Zealots are keeping Sahima, but I have a good idea who does.
And when every line of dialogue is packed with exposition.
My mind turns against me. I must return to engineering and make one last attempt to restore the power.
I'm glad he says everything out loud that he's thinking, so I know what he's thinking. I'd say you probably spend about 75% of your time in conversation as well. It's painful. But before I could even start exploring this new planet, I was required to complete an ancient ritual, which would grant me access into the House Varun.
This is a profound step for you. Do not worry. You have nothing to fear.
As I ventured down into the deep, dark, cavernous tunnels, I was met with my first task to blow out this candle. Next, I was optionally required to cast aside my burdens, which I did by throwing some old worthless notes I had into the flames. I could feel the great serpent's grip tighten around my neck as I made a leap of faith over a small gap. I could feel its venom in my veins as I stood in some really warm, knee-high water. I could feel the great serpent creeping into my soul as I sacrificed a kid Groat. I lost control of my vision as the great serpent took me over. I convulsed to and fro while I picked up 2 statues and then put those statues on another pedestal, completing the ritual. As I spoke to whoever this is, I realized that I had devoted the entirety of my essence and my body to the Great Serpent, a body that now slowly shrank and eventually faded away, dissolving into his supreme greatness. What happened? Why did it teleport me? So the entirety of this ritual is emblematic of Shattered Space's quest design, which has you doing nothing more than mundane, brainless activities, like grab a key card, or talk to this person, or blow out a candle, which is incredibly soul-crushing to play through. So the big selling point for Shattered Space was that it wasn't procedurally generated like a lot of the base game was.
We love Starfield's massive open galaxy, but from early on in our planning, we knew we wanted to introduce a more secluded and handcrafted location.
That craftsmanship becomes abundantly evident once you've been given the reins to explore the new planet. Now we're finally able to appreciate the visuals and soak in both of the colors that Bethesda used. We're able to appreciate the wildlife, which is neither wild nor teeming with life. We're able to seek out locations that lack any interest whatsoever and beg to be ignored. But somehow, despite the artisanal craftsmanship at hand, Shattered Space manages to be worse than the base game, which is honestly quite an achievement. If I didn't know any better, I would think that this whole planet was procedurally generated because it's just as dull and lifeless as the rest of them. And visually, it looked so unappealing that I didn't want to spend time in it. I can't help but feel as though that the hands that crafted this expansion were missing a couple fingers, while those that remained were riddled with arthritis. But you know what? This video was handcrafted, and if you've enjoyed it so far, go ahead and give it a like. But only if you've actually liked it, because I would hate for you to have to lie to yourself. I mean, that's what Bethesda does, and look where that got them. So now we're being tasked with bringing unity to House Va'ruun by completing 3 separate quests. So some guy left his post, and now we gotta go find him. To find him, we ask this lady where he is. She tells us that another guy knows where he is, so we go find that guy.
A drink or two ought to lighten this mood.
That guy then gives us a tracker, which we then use to track the other guy. This leads us to an abandoned camp, leading us to surmise that that guy isn't here, because this camp has been abandoned. So we follow his trail to go where here is for that guy, and we end up meeting some people who saw that guy and helped him a few days ago.
We sent him north.
They even gave him 2 groats as a kind gesture. Oh hey, look at that, I think I see those 2 groats right over there. Then we find the guy that we came here to find, and I convince him to come back to the original guy who sent me to find this guy, and they all lived happily ever after.
I'm going to stick around and help Barrick out.
This one's pretty much just like it sounds. We go to a place where hostages are being held, then once we find those hostages, we free them.
Thank the serpent. I thought I was done for.
Although it's hard to believe that these people were captured to begin with, seeing as how stupid their captors are. Then we partake in hostage negotiations, which my dear sweet Andresia actually helped me out with.
Blessed sister, you speak truth. I have been blinded by pride, but your words have guided me back to the path.
You know what though? Playing through this game kind of reminded me of being in high school, where you're forced to go to a place and sit down and listen to some old chick spouting exposition from a textbook. The quests that the teachers handed out were tedious, mundane, and granted very little experience, and all the girls had this dead look in their eye whenever I went near them. Things get serious here. As we go to a dam, then we drain the dam. Wow, that was so fun. I activated the pump. We find there's ghosts protecting the dam. Now this is where we're able to get a good sense of what it's like to fight these new phantom enemy types, and for the most part they really don't bring anything new to the table. In fact, they make combat slightly more tedious because they can randomly teleport around the map, which does nothing more than elongate the fight. So why are we here? Good question. We're here to retrieve a vortex interlock, of course. The vortex interlock we grab allows us to use this big laser cannon to shoot a laser into the bubble.
Spine shall pierce the shell of the one.
Enough! Shut it down!
Cutting power!
And that allows us to enter the scaled Citadel. Within the Citadel, we're given a choice. This guy is planning on harnessing the power of the vortex he's been sucked into to unleash a bunch of vortex-powered super soldiers, aka the Blue Man Group, into the universe. You can choose to side with him and awaken them, or kill all of them in their sleep.
What have you done? You've killed them all!
Oops. And now we partake in a great big climactic combat. And it was here where I actually had a little bit of fun for once. I found this overpowered shotgun that could one-shot most of the enemies, and that felt really satisfying. It also allowed me to make good use of the boost pack by hopping around the arena as an angel of death. It's kind of weird to think that if they had put some more work into the mobility mechanics, that the combat in this game actually could have been kind of fun. I also found a case that required me to be an expert level digipicker to unlock, which I was. But I didn't want to go through the effort of unlocking it since I find the lockpicking mechanic to be extremely boring. Luckily though, the gun was clipping outside of the case. This right here was my favorite moment in the entire expansion. Once we get to the top of the Citadel, we unlock and destroy 4 power nodes. Which causes the entire building to collapse. So we run out of it and watch the entire building collapse. Then we wake up in a room with all of the elite members of the House Va'ruun.
I cannot believe it.
And here they give me, a newcomer who's been here for 4 hours, the responsibility of forging the House Va'ruun's future.
Then we let the Harbinger decide.
I chose for them to start up a war or whatever. I don't really care since I'm never going to play this game again. And that decision naturally made everyone mad, including Sam Coe. What? Sam Coe? Isn't he dead? I just went to his funeral.
Is reality divine? Existence itself is a mystery which yearns to be uncovered. What is goodness but a
Don't have any other advice to add at the moment.
And so there you have it. That's Shattered Space in a nutshell. It's a 4-hour expansion that took me 5 days to complete, because every single second of it was pure pain, and it only cost me $30.
To a certain extent, our own hubris caught up with us. You know, we had had so many, not just successes, but literal game of the years, like industry-wide accepted game of the years. You know, we started to talk ourselves into the fact of, you know, we were infallible.
Now, our buddy Bruce here said all of this in regards to Fallout 76, but it's abundantly clear to me that they're still overflowing with hubris when it comes to Starfield. It's the only logical explanation, because it's hard to believe that anyone over at Bethesda can think that this game is actually fun to play, but apparently they do. Recently, this guy right here, Emil Pagliarulo, did an interview where he basically said as much.
I think in a lot of ways, Starfield is the hardest thing Bethesda has ever done. We pushed ourselves to make something totally different. That we pulled it off make Starfield something of a technical marvel. It's also in a lot of ways the best game we've ever made.
So either he's completely delusional and believes what he's saying, or he's straight up lying to us. Either way you interpret this quote, it doesn't make Bethesda look good.
Starfield is a massive game, and it takes time for us to address things. We move as fast as we can, as safely as we can.
From my perspective, over the past year, they've put almost no effort into addressing this game's issues. It's still rife with loading screens, the writing is awful, the combat is boring, the quest design is trash, and the entire game is still janky as all hell. So I ask, what have they done exactly to improve this game? Because I can't tell. Well, you know, apart from adding a vehicle.
The vehicle
so
is
excited
awesome.
Yeah, I'm so excited for that.
Yeah.
You could see how they might not even think that Starfield needs fixing.
Our games have never been more popular. We have, last month, 25 million players in our games. And so it's just like a staggering amount of people.
Yeah. I mean, with a player count like that, why even bother listening to criticism? Now, don't tell this to anybody else, but between you and me, I think that all of this is a front. They're just trying to put on a brave face and appear as though everything is fine and dandy so as not to worry us. But I can almost guarantee you that they know something is off. I mean, Todd Howard's face at the Game Awards kind of says it all, honestly. I think Shattered Space is proof that Bethesda is acutely aware of the reception Starfield has gotten, which is why Shattered Space turned out the way it did. They knew it wouldn't perform well, so they put a small team into developing it to minimize resources and save money, meaning that they most certainly are listening in some capacity, but they're not listening hard enough. I can almost guarantee you that they aren't taking our criticism and applying it to Elder Scrolls 6, because it's clear to me and probably everyone watching this video that they need to scrap their current engine and go with something else, like maybe Unreal or create a completely new one from scratch, but I don't think they're going to end up doing that.
A lot of the Starfield technology is the starting point for Elder Scrolls 6, and then obviously we try to do another jump up in technology with looking at what's coming in the future, how do we do that, and always be moving the ball forward.
Here's my prediction. Elder Scrolls 6 is going to come out, and it's going to sell like crazy. And so they'll still think that they're infallible, but people are going to be extremely pissed with the end product. And then after that, they're going to lose complete faith in Bethesda. It won't be too long after that where we'll start seeing layoffs and potentially even a bankruptcy. And we'll see who's laughing then.
Who's laughing now?
Towards the end of the last quest, Andreja started opening up to me.
If you are free soon, could we talk?
Essentially introducing the beginning of the quest line to commit to her.
My past is complicated, but my family always stressed the importance of having a purpose in life.
And I could tell by that look on her face that she was starting to fall for me. But there simply wasn't enough time to complete her quest. And I wasn't about to keep playing this game to see her mundane story unfold. And you know what? To be honest with you, her and I really didn't have good chemistry with one another.
You have murdered an innocent person. You cannot do that.
Straight from the beginning, it was pretty clear that Andreja wasn't very interested in me. This is my bed. This is where I press E to sleep. And sometimes over here, I press F to pay respects. She wouldn't even cross that barrier into my room. And, well, I think I made a big mistake when I left Sarah. So I loaded up an old save where Sarah and I were still together to make things right again.
I'm right behind you.
Here's my bed, where I press E to sleep. But tonight I think I'll finally press F so that we can F. And it is in this way that I will pay my respects to you. Yes. And so now it's almost like this expansion never happened, but it did. You see, Shattered Space was so bad that it nearly broke me. It made me realize that I can't only do content like this anymore. I gotta expand a little bit, because doing content on nothing but bad games is taking too deep of a toll on me. Now, this content won't be going anywhere, mind you. I do enjoy making it, but next year, for this channel, I aim to try to strike a balance of both bad games and good games, or at the very least, games I like. And who knows, I've also got a few ideas up my sleeve that I'm hoping to execute on. So maybe think about subscribing if that's something you want to see. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
In your green eyes, that I can use you to store all my supplies. And when I shoot guys, you don't even try to help me, baby. All you do is stand by. You take my breath away, I need a respirator. Don't understand